Alright guys, so what's left to do before I can start the engine is some hose clamps, but most importantly the fuel pump, which hopefully you can see back there. It's got to come out. It's held in with 4 bolts and the positive and negative wire, as well as the in and out fuel lines. So the fuel lines have been disconnected, or at least the clamps have been disconnected. I got to pull the lines off. What's left to do is disconnect the wiring harness to it, either at the pump or at the connector, and then undo the 4 bolts and pull the whole thing out. So okay, so not sure if you can see very well, but here's where we stand. Hose clamp for the upper hose is off, hose clamp for the lower hose is off. The hoses themselves are still on, they're hard to get out. Cables are disconnected down there and pulled through the grommet. It's going to be interesting to get those back through, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. All that's left now is to undo the final bolt right there, and then I can take it off and hopefully these will come off without too much struggle. Okay, so after some wrestling with the fuel pump system, here it is. There's the fuel dampener on top of the fuel pump. I'm going to remove the fuel dampener because I'm going to try to keep using that. I think that'll work nicely. I'm going to get rid of the fuel pump, obviously. I'm not going to be using the same bracket. I'm going to be using the bracket that came with my new Carter fuel pump. You can see that small hole there and that big hole there. That's where it's going to mount up in that zone over there. Hopefully this goes pretty well. So in front of me I've got the Carter pump that I'm going to be using, the mounting bracket that came with it, the stock fuel dampener, and also all the mounting hardware. I'm going to assemble the pump with the bracket and the mounting dampener, or the fuel dampener, the way I think will work best, and let you guys know how that is. Okay, so the fuel pump has been mounted. I mounted it specifically this way because it'll be sitting just like you see it right there on in the fuel pump bracket. And there is the inlet. Not sure if you can read that very well, but the inlet is right there, so that's why it's got to sit exactly how it is right now. Yeah, up next I'm going to see if I can get the dampener on using one of the 3 available holes. So before I go ahead and mount the dampener, I realized that to mount the dampener I need to take off the fuel pump. I also need to take off the fuel pump if I want to mount it on the factory 280Z mounting plate, which luckily the bolts fit perfectly through. So first I'm going to mount the whole thing, then I'm going to reassemble it with the fuel pump. Okay, so this is the creation as of right now. I have the original backing plate, which you'll notice I had to make a 3rd hole to get everything to fit without interfering with the pump, which then mounts to the Carter pump mount. Then I mounted the fuel dampener on top, which just barely clears the pump. Then I mounted the pump. So I've still got to torque down the pump, and then I can figure out a way to connect the fuel dampener to the output of the pump, and then I can mount the whole thing, plumb up the last 2 lines, and it should be good. Alright guys, so it's the next night. Had to go ahead and buy some hose clamps. I just got a handful from Canadian Tire, enough to get my little fuel pump assembly up and on the car. Hopefully there are no leaks and I'm not missing anything, but I'll keep an eye out for everything. Okay, so all the clamps have been put on. Not sure if they're showing up okay on the camera, but got one over here, one up here, one up here. So now I'm ready to put the whole assembly. I just have to add the fitting in here, and I can put the whole assembly back in the car, connected to the main fuel lines, which are currently over there being pinched off with vice grips, and try turning it over. Okay, so I did run into a few troubles, namely before, when the mounting plate was sitting like this, the fuel pump hung too low and was actually bumping against the A-arm. So now the mounting plate will be sitting like this. Unfortunately, that means that when the fuel pump goes in, it gets hung up on that bottom bolt right there, which is a factory bolt. So I'm so surprised that a hole that comes with the mounting plate would block a hole to mount the pump. Just think that's a huge oversight on Carter's part. So now I have to drill another hole through this to accommodate that bolt. Another problem, more major, is take a look at those threads. They're totally stripped. Those are no better, and that one's actually good. I just tightened those down using hand tools, nothing crazy, and it totally just started to strip. I mean, this is $100 Carter pump, and the quality is just awful of the metal. Okay, so after some more struggling and another day, the pump is mounted, all the hoses are attached. The fuel dampener, which is sitting up there, is not mounted to anything for now, but I'm going to have some more wiring related things that will be covered in another video, so regardless, I'm going to have to mess around back here eventually before I can actually drive the car. All that's left now is to wire some power up to the fuel pump by extending the stock power wires that came with the new fuel pump, which I can't find right now. Here they are. I noticed that, again, something's up with Carter quality control. This is just a wire. There's no, hang on, focus. There's no ring on the end. It won't focus, but see how there's a ring on one, not on the other? I didn't do that. Didn't come with that one. Great. That's okay. I'll make that work. Another thing I did was the little coolant nozzle right there, where you can see the hose moving right there. I just put a piece of hose on it and a bolt in the end so it doesn't leak. Got to put a bolt in this one here so that doesn't leak when I try to start the engine, and then hopefully all will be well. Update with you guys once I get everything taken care of. Okay, the fuel pump should be all wired up. I'm not sure if I pushed the connectors down all the way on the pump itself. I connected them back here just very loosely behind the seat. Now I'm going to crank it over a few times, see if I can hear the pump, and more if I can hear the pump, if I can also see any fuel going into there. Wish me luck, guys. Actually, it's going to end the recording, but you know what? I'm going to see if I can do this live. You guys can catch my good luck or my bad luck live on camera. So let's have it. Ooh, maybe you shouldn't set that quickly down when I'm on a jack. You know what? Let me just double check. That's scary. Not sitting. Okay. Don't know if I heard anything. Okay. So I turned it over a few times. See if there's anything going on in the filter. I didn't really hear the pump crank at all, no. So I feel like I still don't have power to the pump. Be back in a sec. Okay, so I just disconnected that line in case I have the pump wired backwards. I think it's getting power. I don't hear it, but maybe I can't hear it over the sound of the engine cranking. I'm going to give it a few more cranks, set the camera up here. I also disconnected my battery booster so I don't damage it. Let's see if this camera angle will work. I guess you guys are going to have to deal with whatever that's showing you. Hang tight. It worked. It worked. I hear the fuel. I see the fuel. Ta-da! Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to go reconnect my fuel line, see if it'll fire up. Okay, fuel lines are reconnected. Let's try again. That's strange. I don't see any more fuel getting sucked through the line. Alright, back to the drawing board. Okay, so I've been turning it over. I got it to fire a few times. I think part of the problem is the fuel system isn't primed. Or I might be out of gas. I don't know. I haven't put gas in this car in a long time. So I'm going to try to prime it. If that doesn't work, then I'll go get more gas. Alright, so this video is getting really long. I'm going to upload it as is, and I'm going to upload another video after this on trying to get the car to start. I seem to be having a fueling issue. It doesn't seem to want to pump gas. I don't know what's going on. I feel like maybe the pump is just not primed. I don't know, but give you guys an update in a bit.